Action Park
Media.
All right, welcome to Victory, the podcast. Back from New Year's, I'm Doug Ellin.
I'm Kevin Dillon.
Kevin Connolly, 2023.
Yeah.
That's scary.
It is.
It's scary to think about. So, for all the critics, we're getting into episodes, one of my personal favorite episodes.
We just watched this episode.
My favorite.
Yeah?
My number one favorite. I love it. It's just fun.
And it's the Day Fuckers, and I'm trying to be a little more...
Season 4, Episode 7, Day Fuckers. And Doug, you are going to need to deep dive this one because we got questions.
There's so much to it, but I want, I want you to know, when you give us a 5-star review with criticism, we listen to it.
You like it.
So people can say, hey, we think you guys suck, but put the 5 stars. So, no, I don't say that. But people ask for something.
Today, whoever's been watching the news, obviously, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that, look, man, the fucking LA's flooded, right?
Oh, tell me about it, bro.
Right. So we're barely here, so we're happy to be here. Dillon came from Calabasas.
It took
You had
me
trouble getting over
an hour and 45 minutes to get here.
Right.
I couldn't get over the hill.
All right, we'll get into that in a second.
Boulders and mudslides. I mean, it was bad.
We'll get into that in 1 second. But what I wanted to say is people on the thing, they like to know. It's the Day Fuckers episodes. It's season 4, episode
7.
It's directed by Mark Mylod, written by Robert Weiss.
Famous Jess Mancini line is in here.
Yeah. By the way, that's my favorite scene in all of Entourage. It's probably like a 4-minute walk and talk.
Right.
Walking out of a restaurant, down the road, crossing the street, getting in the car. It's just a great walk and talk.
And I want everyone to understand, when we got Mark Mylod, he had really not done much, but we knew pretty instantaneously that he was a genius, and he's gone on to be one of the biggest directors in television. And now...
I thought that was Julian Farina.
No, that was Mylod.
It was Mylod.
Yeah.
And he has an awesome movie out right now on HBO Max called The Menu,
yeah.
which is great.
Okay.
So, but we'll get into that episode.
Mark, don't forget to hire us, man.
I can't even get him on the phone anymore. No, I'm just kidding. I spoke to Mark, and Mark, when he had already made it big, I asked him to do us a favor in the movie, and he directed the Hyde.
He directed the Hyde sequence.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was it a trailer? I really don't even remember.
I think it was a trailer for Hyde. Yeah.
You know what? The movie.
We'll get there.
By the way, the movie's on HBO Max right now, and I'm getting so many DMs, and people are going, you know what? Can I just say something to anyone? There was a book called, what was it, Connolly? You'll know this. The Game. It was like how to seduce women and stuff, and one of the things you do is like...
How'd that age?
You know
that
what?
aged
It
well.
probably didn't age well, but they were trying to turn it into a movie for a long time.
There was a movie called The Game.
Well, that was the Michael Douglas, Sean Penn movie.
Yeah,
That was
a great movie.
By the way, that
Great
was
movie.
Fincher, right?
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
like a how-to book for dudes to like get girls, and it's like just.
But he's
I should write one of those.
But he's a very successful writer. Larry Charles was involved at one point. But anyway, one of the things that I remember of it is just like you compliment a woman and then you insult her. I'm not suggesting this. I'm just saying this. Like you'd be like, oh my God, your eyes are beautiful. They must be contacts. Whatever. Right. I'm not saying it works. I'm not saying it's good.
Your eyes are beautiful if they weren't bloodshot.
Yeah,
that's what I say. That's what I say to Dillon in the morning.
But what people keep doing to me on DM, which I just want people to know, is not a great way to compliment. They go, the movie's on HBO Max. I watched it. I didn't think it sucked.
Right.
All right. I get the movie didn't suck. We tested through the roof. The critics
You
were
don't
after
sweat
us.
that much for a fat girl.
Yeah.
That's one of the great compliments.
Dylan knows how to do
Jesus
it.
Christ.
Anyway, so before we get into the episode, we're going to
How was
catch up
everybody's
on
holiday?
life.
How was everybody's holiday?
You know what? I'm in this incredible time warp with this new baby. Which
You're in the dark 100.
I'm in the dark 100, but I will say, although life is about to change dramatically, because Sarah's mother was here for 50 days. Now, everybody...
That safety net's gone, huh?
But it's funny when I say that to everybody, like, oh, that must have been awful. Like, I guess most people hate their spouse's mother. Sarah's mother is amazing. I mean...
Zulai's mother and
cool.
father were delivered from the heavens by God himself.
nice,
It's amazing.
nice.
You know, that's good. But Sarah's mother left, and I pulled, I don't really do Jewish guilt anymore, but I was like, I guess you just don't care about your grandchild, huh? Because she's left after 50 days to go back to Austin, Texas.
How many edibles did it take for that one to kick in?
No, I keep hitting her with nasty messages like, don't worry, you just missed her first
I know,
words.
it's fine. She's talking. You know,
Yeah.
she's applying to schools.
Maybe you'll make it to the wedding, I don't know. But anyway, now real life kicks in. But my holiday was awesome. And I got to say, I mean, Connolly knows. He was there for like my dark days of like,
When? This morning?
No, like a month ago. Like, how am I going to have a child right now? That's ridiculous. We'll get into that, and it's not about Dillon being late. I knew you couldn't get here today by the floods. I tried to stop this.
You know,
Doug-
a phone call would have worked, bro.
Doug tried to-
I could have taken the 405.
I posted. I said to you guys. I said, "Are we really doing this today? We can't get there." Anyway, we're getting off the topic.
Get
again.
on topic. The holidays. Let's talk about good times. The holidays.
Yeah, the holidays were great. The baby is awesome. I'm very happy. I wish I was younger, but everyone should have, a baby. Okay,
Everyone should have a baby.
Everyone should have a baby.
How was
That's
your
it.
I
holiday?
miss
Dillon?
having a baby. I got two big girls.
Yeah.
It was great though. I took my daughter Ava to New York. Had a great time. Saw the family.
Yeah.
That must be fun, like the Dillon family Christmas.
It's pretty
right?
good. I don't know if you guys saw the post.
I
on
did.
Instagram.
Saw a couple posts.
Kind of get the 5 boys. You know,
It was a
Yeah.
nice.
And my sister Kate was there. It
was a nice picture.
Yeah,
It was a nice
And
picture.
then there's like 1,000 kids around too. you
Right.
know?
I saw another Instagram post. Of
Are there any
yours.
grandkids yet, Dillon?
Yeah, great
So
grandkids.
it goes from kids to grandkids now.
Two great grandkids.
Wow. So the Dillon
Yeah.
family grows.
A lot of grandkids and 2 great grandkids.
I saw another post of yours, Dillon, which you might want to take down, and I think a lot of fans are going to be calling you the mush of the Mets.
The Carlos Correa post.
about it?
He's
He's
signed with the Twins.
Signed with
so-
the Twins.
Look at Dillon's face.
No way.
He
You
did.
could not get that performance out of anybody.
When did that
Today.
go down?
That's happened a
Fucking
couple hours ago.
goddamn.
Now, what's the problem? Is this
I
guy?
was trying to hope will it to happen because I really. Oh, man.
What's the problem? Does this guy have health issues?
I don't even know what
Yeah,
happened.
he broke his ankle and he's got a plate in there. But man, he's a clutch player. He's a great. Oh, he would have been the piece.
200 million from the Twins. He's
Wow,
gone.
it's tough to see. It's tough to see.
How many
Dillon.
years?
I
6
didn't
years.
see. More
See,
than
that's
6 years, 200 million.
you don't like it.
no. I mean, then I'm sure the Mets offered him that.
I'm sure that well, listen, the Mets must have had a problem.
He
with his medical.
wanted a big long. What did he want? 10 years?
Oh, is that what he
12
wanted?
Years? Yeah.
Is that what he wanted?
I wanted that too, Kevin. No one would give it.
Oh, you guys, you Yankee fans are all excited.
You know, I
No,
went to,
I don't. I'm not an anti-Met guy.
I went to Medellin.
I cannot believe that. That's-
Dylan, I actually went to Medellin.
Oh,
I
yeah,
went
yeah.
to the homeland of Billy Walsh's homeland. I went to Medellin. It was awesome.
Wow.
Did your skin burn?
No, it's a little muggy, but it's fucking dude. It's awesome. And,
All right,
and
so-
it's far from here. But if you live on the East Coast,
Oh,
you live
yeah.
in Miami,
It's a direct flight.
to not jump on a flight to Medellin, you gotta have your head
You could
examined.
probably go from New York to Medellin.
I'm sure.
So you
I mean,
loved
was, I loved it. It was amazing.
And did we capture it at all in the episode about Medellin?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
To a
It had that
certain extent.
jungly feel, right?
It's funny because I would get recognized in sort of the touristy areas a couple times.
Yeah.
And
But not the locals.
yeah, I mean the locals, I don't know. I didn't see a ton of HBO, and truthfully, it didn't really feel like people were big on television. I don't know. It's just not a lot of
It's
TV.
the cocaine.
But one guy said to me, he's like, "Hey man, what are you doing here?" And I was like, "Reshoots." He's like, he didn't even know what I was talking about. He didn't even get
He
the
knew you
joke.
from the Notebook.
Yeah, exactly. He's just not that into you. But Kevin, you ride horses?
Yeah.
You experience
Yeah.
horseback riding?
Yeah.
How fast?
I'm
Doug and I were saying this. How fast would you say, like, now within reason, like you're in a Western saddle, you're horseback riding. How fast would you say if you're
Full gallop,
full gallop? What would you say?
60 miles per hour. Maybe not that fast. 50?
Right, I felt that's what I did, dude. I felt it
50
felt like
miles per hour at
It felt
full
like
gallop?
it felt like 50 to me in full gallop.
Are you saying they don't go that fast?
Dude, Dylan, I'm with you, bro. I thought Doug.
A cheetah could run 70 miles per hour. So I'm going to look this up.
So you think Connolly gets on a horse and runs at like a cheetah speed?
Listen,
Yeah, but Connolly weighs nothing, so the horse is like running free.
Well, Connie
the
basically
horse
is a
did
jockey.
feel like
but-
he was running without a condom. Yeah, he was going without a condom. He was feeling light.
All right,
and
I'm
I
looking
did,
this up.
I did not actually look at a racehorse's top speed, but a Western
How
saddle
fast
rider is
does
like
a
30,
horse
35.
Ride at top speed.
But you gotta specify Western.
55 miles per hour.
Well, that's a racehorse
But
in a race. That's the fastest
Is that
in the world.
Secretariat?
That's what I run, bro.
All right, so Kev, we're in Medellin, Christmas Eve. Okay, we're getting ready. Everybody, we're going horseback riding. All right. I did have the thought it's Christmas Eve. Dial it down a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
don't drink too much.
We did have a couple beers in the sun, nothing crazy.
In the sun.
Dude, you walk up on your horse to a bar and you stop and you
sounds
lean
great, man.
lean off the horse and be like, hey, we got a couple whatever light beers, whatever it was. But Zulai, before we get ready to go, I said to Zulai, you're not going to go horseback riding? And she's like, no, absolutely not. I said, why? She said, Kevin, know thyself. And I was like, oh, interesting. All right, I like it. All right, I'm going. I know myself. I'm going. So it's a bunch of us, probably 10 of us. Zulai's brother-in-law, real estate Jesse, very good friend of mine, my partner in crime in Medellin. He and I were confident on the horses. We got a little confident, maybe overconfident. And
Really?
On the home stretch, he gets fucking bounced from his horse.
Wow.
Yeah.
How bad?
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Now, listen, whatever real estate Jesse's listening to this, he's an athletic guy. And I believe that his sort of athletic instincts must have helped him. He kind of rolled out. The saddle slipped, and he rolled off the horse full speed, dude. Now, not to mention the trail is probably only 6 feet long, and it's full of rocks.
Wow.
And then you go over the side.
That happened to Amy May when we went riding in Greece.
Right.
And she ended up hanging onto the horse, at full gallop onto the horse.
Oh, she didn't fall off.
She fell off.
Oh,
But
Did a little
was it
roll
the
out.
same thing? The
It really
saddle
wasn't
slide?
her fault. We got it on video.
Wow.
So the horse did this crazy buck. I mean, she's lucky she didn't get trampled.
Or killed or maimed.
well, usually, I mean, Christopher Reeves was paralyzed.
Exactly.
I mean, that's you know.
And it's funny because he went down, and I think his adrenaline was kicked up. So he's like, "I'm fine. I'm fine." I'm like, "No, I think both your hands are probably broken." He was banged up, dude.
No breaks though. Did you put him in
He did
concussion
not.
protocols?
I said I wanted to put him. I was like, dude, when we get back to town, you got to go to the doctor, bro. We got
Well,
so-
wait, he doesn't have to go to the doctor if there's nothing wrong with him.
Well, it didn't look like nothing was wrong with him. Bro.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
He was banged up, bro. He's skinned. You know what are the
road rash.
raspberries?
He got a little road rash.
He was road rashed. I'm not real estate Jesse not laughing. He was road rashed head to toe. He landed on his hands. I mean, it was a disaster, and it was reminiscent of the Entourage movie. Even though I didn't fall off the horse, he and I got the looks of like we were showing off with the horse, and we almost ruined the family vacation. That was definitely the vibe. Got a semi-silent treatment for a minute.
Ew, semi.
But it was good. But I'm thinking, like, dude, Christmas Eve, this has got like the bad Dateline episode written all over it.
Yeah.
But everybody made it out of there okay. But Medellin was awesome. I told you, I text you.
Yeah, I remember getting a text.
Yeah, do you know I got?
I don't remember what it said, though.
I got the I went and I got I went to the bio accelerator clinic and I I got the stem cell IV.
Did you feel any different from that?
Yeah, I do. And
I felt like it lasted about a week.
Really?
Maybe 2 weeks.
Well, everything you do kind of hurts it, but I don't know. I felt kind of good on my back, my legs. I don't know.
Yeah.
It felt pretty good. But they have state of the art shit there. Bio accelerator. By the way,
How much was it?
Chuck Liddell. There was. Listen, it's
Spit it out. How much?
It's not. Well, I don't want to really get into that on the air, but it's not
$2 grand, $3 grand.
Whatever. It's not.
I mean, now you got me
whatever. I
thinking.
think
By the way, you're
more
like with the
than $3
horse
grand.
going 60 miles. Is it 100 grand? Is it 5
No, it's
grand?
not 100 grand.
Anyway,
the Queens Boulevard.
How is that film festival going?
It's coming along nice.
You got a lot of
We got
films
we're
or whatever
getting a lot
what
of
do you call 'em,
submissions.
shorts?
Yeah, so it's a trailer. It's 60 to 90 seconds, and
How many you got?
we got a bunch coming in. But what we want to do is we're going to extend it. So everybody's listening. We're extending it to February 6th. February 6th is the extension date. So that's when you have to have it.
Is it because there's a lack of films or
No,
something?
no, because we now have a sponsor.
Okay, good.
We have a sponsor, JSX. You know JSX, Kev?
No, what's that?
It's a hop-on jet service. Doug, you want to jump in here?
Ooh. Are they publicly
service.
listed? I'll check out their stock.
Yeah, I mean, look.
well, don't check up Wheels Up stock because it's fucking the
tanking?
sweatshirt. The sweatshirt I have is worth more than the actual stock that I am in possession of. So, but JSX is a real deal.
You know, flying private is not good during tough times, and these are tough times right now.
Yeah, but it's actually the best of both worlds because it's regular prices, but it's private. So it's a hop-on jet service, but you go into a private terminal. And it's like being private, so it's good, and they're gonna be. And
By the way,
CEO,
I am not a day trader. I figured out what I am. I'm a swing trader, Doug. That's what I am, a swing
Ew.
trader. I might hang on to some stocks for a couple of days. I'm doing all right during tough times, you know.
So listen, JSX is gonna kick in 2 tickets on their hop-on service to fly out here. Winner will get 2 tickets to fly out here.
Wow, nice.
To watch us tape an episode. So
I thought you were going to say they were going to give us 2 tickets. That would have been nice.
Listen,
Doug?
if we Doug, what if we do it? Doug, what's wrong? What's going on? You got suddenly quiet over there. What's going on?
He's
What's happening?
thinking. He's
I'm
thinking.
just thinking. Always thinking.
What are you
Brain's
thinking
going.
about? What are you thinking about?
Things, bro. Just life.
Just
Life.
thinking.
He's thinking about pickleball right now.
I am. By the way, I'm wearing my Chicago Slice
Oh,
gear.
is that what that
which,
is?
just, you know.
They're your spot. That's your
that
team.
I offered you guys to come in on that no one came in on. The teams are going for 8 times what I put it in at 3 months ago.
Really?
Yeah, 8 times.
But he can't
I
sell
thought
for.
we were in.
He can't sell for 20 years.
I said if you guys want in, just bring a check
And I
tomorrow.
said yes.
I said you got to bring it. We can listen to the recording back. I said if you want in, I'll never bring it up again. Bring
wanna
the
play it
check.
back?
I want to play back on that.
You wanna play it
because I
back?
don't remember you saying bring a check
Yep,
tomorrow.
I did. That's
he
when it
did
closed.
say, he said, like, I'm not going to chase you guys around. The offer's on the table. You got to write it by tomorrow. He did say
remember
that. He also might have texted.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, good. That's good.
Yeah, that's it. If you want us to, is it too late?
It's too late. Yeah,
It's too late.
I mean, you can come in at 8 times if you want to do that.
No thanks.
No thanks.
I wanted
You know.
the deal.
But is it really? How do you know it's 8 times?
Because they have new teams that are coming in at 8 times, and I got people, and the valuation's gone up 8 times since then. It's like when a stock goes, like you're a trader. If you
understand,
woke up
Kev,
tomorrow
you're
and it was
a day
$1
trader.
today and it was $8 tomorrow, you'd know the difference.
Yeah. Yo, no doubt. I'm getting up 6 a.m. every day. That's really driving me crazy.
Are you really?
Yeah.
But anyway, Chicago
get up
Slice
before the
still.
opening bell.
What I got for both of you is
gotta get up for the
merch.
opening
I have
bell.
merch.
Dude, you have to get up at
Chicago
least a
Slice
half
merch.
hour before the opening bell, or you're going to be behind. It's
Right.
it's really a pain in the ass being in LA. You got to be in New York. It helps a lot. I hate getting up.
Maybe you should move to New York for the
You got to
day
start
trading.
pushing.
I'm thinking about going back. I miss it.
You got to start pushing JSX. Check out the stock.
I gotta
See
check it
what
out.
is. You got to start.
I got it.
Shithead.
Yeah, I'll check it out for sure.
All right, well, when we come back from the break, we are going to talk season 4, episode 7, Dave Fuckers. Very popular episode.
Welcome back, Victory the Podcast. Dave Fuckers, Season 4, Episode 7. Mark Mylod, director. Robert Weiss.
Did he write it, or did you write a lot of that?
I mean,
I
listen,
know a lot of that was you.
but I mean, obviously, we can talk about how things work, but in television, you have a group of people, which we had a very small group of people on this, but everyone came in. But there's a lot of interesting things behind the scenes on this thing. Obviously, my son and the private school was really going on in my real life.
By the way, Lucas was great. He had a scene, your son, who's now an adult. He was so great. What a great. He was the best actor in the show.
Doug
a natural.
Doug was talking to him earlier. He's in like San Diego, like with a girl. He's like on a date with some chick in
unbelievable.
San
It's
Diego.
not, I'm not going to lie because we'll get into some emotional Piven's emotional performance on this episode. But when I saw him, because I haven't watched this in a long time, I got emotional watching that because it's not believable that he is now 21 years old, that I now have this little baby that's much closer to his age than he is to his age then. So anyway, but where this whole episode started is I find pretty interesting because it was at Comic-Con is where this furry thing came from. And I was doing a photo shoot for this magazine. I believe it's called Fade In Magazine, if I'm not incorrect, that Levinson, our producer, actually I think owns or something. But they were doing a photo shoot of me, and there was like a bunny character in the background, and the photographer was like, let's put it in the background. So we took this picture. And Ali Musica, who Connolly swears he's going to track down and get on the podcast.
She'd be great.
Who was honestly was my right hand for 5-6 seasons on this show and was just amazing. She saw the picture and she said, that's like a fetish thing. I said, what's a fetish thing? And
how do you know?
well, we could bring her in and ask her how she knows, but I swear on my life.
Well, there's a community, right?
I mean, it's a whole thing, but I had no idea. I was like, I thought they were fucking with me.
It was news to me as well, I'll be honest.
And Weiss knew about it, and Brian Burns, and they're all like this. And I'm like, I have to understand this. I have to get into this. And I said, which we're talking 2 years prior, this is an episode somehow. Drama most likely has to get engaged in somehow in this furry world. So it started like 2 years early, and then we actually never came up with.
But this is a bottle episode, right?
Yeah, I guess there's no real
bottle
career stuff.
episodes meaning it's a oneer.
Now, aside from
one-off.
the Piven, Perry, Lucas, the Gold storyline, which is continuation of him trying to get in school, there's nothing right that has anything to do with the episode before or the episode after. It's a complete. It's called a bottle episode, right? It has nothing to do with the serial of the story.
So there was nothing.
I love those episodes, though.
I don't know how many of them we did, but
very few.
But I couldn't even tell you what.
Probably 10.
we watched a couple of weeks ago the episode before. I don't remember, so I have no idea what's going on in Vince's career right now at all. I honestly didn't remember that he and Sloan were having these issues. But
I didn't realize we went to Italy for 3 months after shooting Medellin for 6 months.
That's
Why
why
did
I took off for
that's why
9
you guys
months.
broke up.
Hey, Sloan, I'm back.
Why did
She said, I told
did
you,
you
if
do
you
that?
leave for 3 months after being gone for 6, we're
months.
done.
It's weird. I have such a different, I guess, outlook on life now. I'm like, of course she broke up with you. Why does she even speak to you? You're in this relationship and you left for 9 months. I don't remember why you left. I don't.
Well, we went to do Medellin.
Medellin,
And then, and to unwind, we went to Italy for
without your girlfriend.
well, I guess. I don't know, man.
I mean, she puts up with so much stuff, and there's so much stuff. I don't know if we want to go in order, but I'm just like,
She's a unicorn. They don't really exist like that.
But I gotta
Women
tell you,
she's
you know
so
what?
perfect. Right?
Sarah is like Sloan,
Yeah, Sarah's
except
great. You're right.
except she has never offered to have one of her friends enter my bedroom.
Yeah.
And by the way, with a big
Maybe you can
smile.
work on that,
Yeah.
Doug.
Don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. But let's start at the beginning with the walk and talk that we love so much.
Such a great walk and talk.
If you're listening to this and you go back and you watch this episode, you look at it starts at the Earth Cafe where the bet is triggered. Very childish bet, by the way. $5,000 to see who can get
Who can get laid first, E or Turtle?
It's
Well, it
terrible.
wasn't even that. It was this push on that E. They were really saying that E is not capable of having sex with anybody unless he's in love with
Without
them.
having emotional sex. It's got to be emotional. Yeah.
Which I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't make fun of somebody like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I thought it was
You
cool.
know?
But the funny thing is, as I'm watching that eating scene, I'm like, look at this, Doug. I'm the only guy who the only actor who actually eats food.
Real
Scene.
actor. Yeah.
I eat,
Well,
I
you're
kinda-
smart enough to know when to eat.
Yes, you got to plan out when to take your bites, and then you're committed.
Right.
So,
But you're also committed to the
it's-
close up, and then you're committed to the wide
Yes,
shot.
So you got
you got exactly.
So bring your appetite.
Bring your appetite.
But you
Don't
got
get to skip lunch afterwards.
Everybody has to understand how difficult this shot is. If you watch it, there's not a cut for a good 5 pages.
gotta be
After
3
we
minutes,
leave the
right?
restaurant, that's when they
Yeah.
go into that long. It's probably about 4 or 5 minute scene with no cut.
Yeah.
Walk and talk. There's traffic. If you screw up one line, you're back to one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of pressure in those scenes and the further you get into it, the
They're tough.
more nervous you get. And you're like, listen, I don't want to be the guy that blows the 4-minute take.
And you have to walk
You
all the
flub
way
a line.
back.
You flub a line. So we would just basically run it over and over and over again. But it's a really, really, really.
And
good
you
show.
also have, which I like to tell you how it happened because I remembered it like it was yesterday. I was writing whatever part of the scene again, or rewriting, however it worked. And I remember Rob Weiss is like, I'm trying to think who I could compare him to in baseball. He's like a home run hitter. If you give him the right pitch, he's going to put it out of the park.
Yeah.
So I literally wrote, no, mean is like. And I call Weiss and I go, Weiss, mean is like what? And he just spit that out.
Yeah. I knew that had to be a Rob Weiss line.
And by the way,
he had some funny lines.
and I appreciated how funny it was, but it didn't
By the
necessarily.
way, to finish that is mean is like making Jess Mancini ride her bike home after I ass fucked her. That's the line.
I mean,
So
and
you will not take credit for that one.
I will not take. And it's not that. By the way, it's a lot of people's favorite lines. I get
Oh,
DM'd
man.
about it all the
Oh,
time.
it's that's vicious.
I take credit like honestly, it's like a Steph Curry to Durant, alley-oop.
Oh, yeah.
I set him up and I put him in and he delivered and he finished it off and it was a great line. But what I remember is I remember watching that episode with my entire family and my ex-wife's family, and there were other people there from Canada, and it's a harsh line. And I remember this one really conservative lawyer who was there, and I knew the guy for years. I've never seen him smile. He laughed so hard at that line. I was like, wow, that line really hit him.
My
And,
85-year-old dad laughed at that line. My mom, on the other hand, because
they go too
I watched
far.
this episode with my parents. My mom, she said that. Then she came back in. She had to keep leaving the room. Then she came back in to see me banging in the bunny costume. And she's like, oh, my God, what are the neighbors going to think?
It really, though, it stood the test of time, the line. It was great. And the scene, so everyone understands how difficult it is. Anyone messes up anything, if there's a stutter, if someone forgets a moment, if someone trips, if one of the extras says something,
It's one of these rare moments in acting when you nailed it. After it's a 5-minute scene, you nailed it. You all look at each other and you're high-fiving like, yeah! Right, Kev? I mean, when you nail a scene like that, when you know you got it,
Especially that one.
and you're like,
That was a big one.
yeah, your day is half done.
Yep.
You've already banged, you just banged out 7 pages.
Well,
you
it's
know
true.
what
I mean, we did. I mean, think about it. We did that before lunch. So we did 4 pages before lunch.
Yeah, more than 4.
And then
That
we
thing's
probably
big.
moved over to the W Hotel or went to another location.
Yeah.
Either you guys went to Cafe Primo,
Yeah.
which is where you meet. By the way, a lot of great performances in this. William Forsythe,
He was great.
who is just a
I've
beast.
always loved him as an actor.
He's
So great.
incredible, and he's.
What type would you say he plays, Doug? He's
I mean, he's like that. I mean, he's playing like this film noir detective.
but who's the
and,
guy in real life that everybody?
Oh, it's you probably know Dillon. What's his name? We got like in trouble. He was the stock tip. Come up. With
He
it.
is- he's
he was the
never-
security guy to the Stars who apparently was like bugging people all over town, and I'm totally blanking on his name. And he's famous.
Yeah,
and-
he's a PI to the celebrity.
but William
He's
Forsythe, if
William
you
Forsythe.
don't know who he is for whatever reason,
Raising Arizona. He's so
I can't
freaking funny in
believe
that
you
movie.
just said that. You
I
you
love
took it from me. I watched it 2 nights ago.
Did you
and
really?
Him and John Goodman, like that's like Turtle and Drama are a great team.
Him and Goodman.
Him
oh
and
my
Goodman are one of the
God.
best
Oh my
combos ever,
God.
and obviously Nicolas
Hilarious.
Cage in that. It's a
Once
classic
Upon a
movie.
Time in America, not Hollywood.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in America.
Forsythe is in
Yeah,
Once Upon a
yeah.
Time in America.
I mean,
Anyway,
he was in American Me. I mean, he's done a bunch of stuff.
all right, so Shayna Moakler, who was married to who?
Well, she was with Oscar De La Hoya for years, had a baby, but then she was with Travis Barker.
And she comes in that scene. She's the girl in the dress who's looking for Jerry in his red hat, and she's
She's great.
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 In
Oh
one scene, just takes
how
it over.
awkward when she's patting Jerry down like that. It's just an awkward scene to be in.
Sophie Monk, who I've watched a lot of Love Island during the pandemic, so I've seen a lot of Sophie Monk. She's the host of Love Island Australia, which is worth a look for anyone who's got a lot of time on their hands. Who else is in this episode? Anyway, it's great. The
William
headmaster is
Forsythe.
fantastic.
Yeah. There was a few people, but everybody was good. We even talked about the extra. What Dillon? Do you remember what the line was when you're on the computer and you're like, "We're either doing the big,
The oversized clit or the I don't remember
the heifer or the oversized,
the heifer or the oversized
the
clit.
oversized clit," and the girl.
I'm sorry, plus size clit.
Plus size and the plus size clit, but the girl next to you gives that look. And dude, sometimes it's hard to, as an extra.
Yeah, she was
did
great.
she did a really good job. So everybody was really good.
She was disgusted and walked away.
Yeah, we went to and then Vince and Eric go to the W Hotel. I mean, talk about fantasy living. Like,
Oh my God, every girl's like a
mean,
model,
it's just
right?
crazy.
Well, I do want to talk about that. We have before, but even like Fazio Cleaners, which was my cleaners at the time. This beautiful girl, walks out, and this
6'2" model.
This show was deliberately wish fulfillment. It just was. I mean, we wanted the best looking people to be everywhere. And it is interesting looking
people
at it
love it.
now. And people loved it. And it is interesting looking at it now because there's nothing like it on TV that I see. And you can say whatever you want, but the fact of the matter is we wanted to bring you to a place that you really wanted to be. And from minute one of the pilot, I've told you guys this before, when it was 30 degrees out and Jerry was sick with like pneumonia and was shooting that scene in the indoor pool.
Yeah.
And I looked through the lens of the camera and I got the weirdest feeling because I knew I was on a set of a show that I had written. I was like, I really want to be over there. And that was the feeling that we wanted to give people. And there's good looking guys as well. But when I looked at Connolly,
That's
I'm like,
weird, dude.
what the hell is
strange that you noticed that, dude.
By the way,
you talking about me?
Dylan noticed it on the set. He's like, what are these dudes doing on the set? Dylan didn't want any dudes in the
There
background
shouldn't
at
be
all.
any dudes.
But I mean, I'm like, we're looking at this W scene and it's just boom, 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 boom. And here comes Emmanuel, immaculately dressed, looking
what is she
incredibly.
doing?
Why is she there?
At the W Hotel at a super immature pool party.
Like at noon on a Tuesday, dressed like $1 million, looking like she on the phone, like she's had a business call. I mean, it's
and I haven't seen her in 9 months.
and there's not even a like, what are you doing here? It's just like, oh, of course you're at the W at noon on a Wednesday. So that was funny.
But that's even the wide shot. There's like that high wide shot of the pool at the W
Yeah. Oh, my
Hotel.
God,
I mean,
that's
that was
amazing.
that was fun, man. That was a good. That's not the last time we shot there. Didn't we go back there? We shot there a few times, didn't we?
I have no memories, bro. I'm just trying
Yeah.
to make it through the
I
day.
think
you
we
know?
did. Yeah.
Yeah, no
I
memories.
can't remember what it was, but
But it's really Mylod. Just he has a way of just making things feel so alive and those shots, which they're all over this episode. These
Yeah.
oneers are
Lot
all
of
over
oneers.
it, you know? Do you remember? I mean, I don't want to go back to the first scene, but I do. Do you remember how many takes it took? Because that was one of our longest walk and talks.
I think we got up in the 9 range, maybe
That's
9 or
not
10.
bad.
Which, by the way, when you really think about it, once you're set and you're blocked, like
Yeah.
9, even if we did probably 10, 11 takes, and
Yeah.
and you usually don't use the one that, you know, like
Yeah, no.
like
I think
7,
we
take
had it,
7
we
might
kept
be
going.
great, and
Yeah.
you keep going, and then you probably end
And
up
you're like,
going
why
back
are we
to 7.
why are we doing this? We already
Right.
nailed this. But
Right.
Nothing is worse than getting to the very end and screwing up that final line because you're like, all I got to do is say this line and we're
know.
out.
You know, I don't know if we talked about it on this podcast, but Rob Weiss was cast. Rob Weiss, who made a great movie called Amongst Friends, was cast in a Barry Levinson movie opposite Joe Pesci, not as the lead, but he was in it. And they did a long, like 3-minute oneer. And Weiss is like not an actor. He was like this celebrity director when he was 23 years old, and he's on the set with the biggest director at the time, with a movie star. And he gets to Rob Weiss, and Pesci says something, and Weiss flubs his line after like a 3-minute take. And Joe Pesci's like, I guess this is gonna be a long fucking day, you know. So, and Weiss didn't know him, you know. But I think, you know, there's got to be a lot of pressure when you guys are there. There's 4 people in the scene, and any of you who mess it up, everyone's going to be annoyed, especially if they have a really good performance that they
Yeah.
can feel good about.
You know what?
Yeah, I mean, we would sometimes get on whoever. What the fuck, dude? We were so close.
I mean, we would
I don't
just
want to say any names. Adrian Grenier.
we would run it over and over and over and over and over again in the dressing room,
Yeah.
in the makeup trailer. Then when we got in the van, I mean, we just repetition.
We
We would run
also
it. Yeah.
had to know from the director, all right, where are your walk and talks? You got to tell us when you have one because we have to over prepare.
Right.
Big time. You have to really be on point.
And you have to make your stops at the right spot. But since you brought up
Yeah.
Adrian, I'll just give an update because I keep getting tweeted at. I've asked Adrian to come on the podcast 40 times. I've spoken to him on the phone. I've texted with him. I'm not sure what else I can do. Connolly's the boss. He's got to figure it out. And we would love to have him on.
Well, let's do
immediately.
his first, and then
I'll do whatever he
be
wants.
obligated to do ours.
I don't know. You see, he's got some issue with me or something. I don't know. So one of you guys has to call him and make it happen. We're trying to get Jerry on the podcast today.
He would have
but
been
he's-
great for this one.
But he's
Yeah.
doing his podcast. Jerry has a MGM football podcast. So
Wait, I want to say one last thing about the walk and talk. Do you remember this, Kev? So a lot of times to back up, like as a security blanket, I guess, for the walk
Yeah,
and talk.
they would do a reverse
Well,
walk
they'll
and
do
talk.
one. Well, they'll follow you.
Yeah.
So in the event that they do need to cut into it for one reason or another, they have the backup.
Yes.
The idea is to play it as one.
And I never like this when they have to use that cut and use that backup cut.
You feel
'Cause
like-
I want to see it all as one.
You
without
feel
the-
like failure.
Yeah.
We didn't get our job done if they have to
Well,
cut
I
to
don't
that
want to
other shot.
say we. I mean,
Yeah.
when we say we, I mean you guys.
But that one was one shot. Yeah.
that was a oneer. Yeah.
That was a oneer.
That was no cut for
now, Dillon,
5 minutes.
You know, I have no idea what an audience at home watches, but I believe, and the reason so many people try to do these things, which, you know, it's not Scorsese invented it, but a lot of people think of Scorsese. But Robert Altman and The Player did an amazing shot, and Orson Welles in Touch of Evil did an amazing shot. I think-
Big one. And Touch of Evil is probably one of the most famous opening shots of a movie of all time.
And The Player talks about it in the shot that Jeremy Piven is in. The Player talks about the Touch of Evil shot, why the shot is going on. And I remember seeing the movie The Player in a theater with 21 years old, and I remember all of these film people like hysterical at the Touch of Evil line and clapping that it was this wonder, and I had no idea. So I don't know if an audience that is not looking for it knows, but what it does, if you don't know, it just makes it feel very real when there's no cuts. It just gives it a
Yeah.
much
Oh,
more
no doubt. Yeah.
documentary feel, and you're watching performances instead of editing. You know?
Hitchcock Rope was the whole movie was one shot. There was like 5 cuts where they would dip to black and then come out, but almost the whole.
It's
the
as
whole
close
movie.
to doing a play as you can get while you're doing a film.
And not to jump into your Rope comment, but Rope was about Leopold and Loeb, who were 2 Harvard kids who just decided to commit a murder to see if they can get away with it.
2 smart guys that thought they were smarter than.
And this Koberger kid in these Idaho murders, I mean, I don't know if Dillon's following this, but this is
It's a whole nother.
Dillon
thing.
is just, you live a fucking great life. You don't watch the news, and
You
you're
know what?
smart.
Right now,
I get nothing out
I'm
of it.
like trying trying to figure out how to be a stockbroker. You know what I mean?
He's got to get.
But you probably need to watch the news to know what's going on.
He's not watching nighttime news.
I'm watching CNBC.
You're watching that jerk off Joe Kernan, who we cut out of our show. Who's just an asshole, but
yeah, I do. I'll watch him a little bit. I'll watch all those guys.
And are they helping you? You got to remember,
Mad Money. The guy from Mad Money.
Do they really know?
No, they don't know.
No, nobody really knows what's going to happen, and it drives you crazy.
Honestly, it's even worse than that because I know the behind the scenes to some degree. They have friends, and they bring them on, and they let their friends essentially sell you, which is what they're doing, and that's what people, when they have a company, they try to sell you stock. So I would be very careful to listen to any of those people.
Yeah, I watch it for other reasons, but by the time they've announced a stock or they want to talk about a stock, it's probably too late if
Maybe,
if they're bringing it up.
You should definitely, both of you should watch the Madoff documentary on Netflix.
Is it good?
It's phenomenal
but I mean,
and awful.
Even when you know the story, is there still something in it that
there's a lot in it.
You know so much about Madoff. Am I going to learn anything else?
I have two very close friends who lost really like family wealth with Madoff.
And now we got this new Bitcoin one. There's definitely going to be a movie about that.
I'm sure.
This kid living in the Bahamas.
Well, that one's
even
crazier.
He's 23 years old or something.
He looks like there's something severely wrong with him. And
he's got serious problems.
And how he sold everybody.
He's going to do some time, man.
It's going to be interesting to find out because he bought off, all of the Democratic politicians. I mean, he invested. He put in like $80 million into Democratic policies. So, and they let him, just like Madoff, though. Also, Madoff was the head of the NASDAQ. So this guy, when people would call the SEC to investigate him, they would say, "Oh, it's Bernie." It's like he knows what he's doing. So, and they let him $64 billion. I'm not sure the number on Bankman-Fried. Anyway,
do you think that his wife? Do you think the wife could know something like that's going on?
Sorry, Madoff?
Yeah.
One of my best.
I don't think she did.
One of my best friends was best friends who grew up with Mark Madoff. He knew him his whole life, and he lost a lot of money to Bernie Madoff. He does not believe Mark Madoff, who hung himself. He does not believe. He does not believe he knew anything about it.
The Sons might have had an idea that something was up.
My friend does not think they did, but again, it's so,
right.
When you watch the documentary, it's so hard to believe that this guy, the amount of time you'd have to spend just on making fake statements, is such an incredible amount of work. Yeah. So something doesn't add up. But we're gonna see the same thing with this one because it takes a lot of people to convince that many people to give you their money. But
now it's a long time ago, so we all have different memories of it. Let's talk about the Piven getting the kid into school scene. Okay?
So the story of this episode, which was really my life, and now I can't even trash the school again, but it was the Brentwood school where Lucas, who's in that scene, did not get into. And I had...
They give a reason?
No, they sent me a fucking form letter, but I'm not taking it personally. But I am taking it personally, and the reason is I brought the headmaster of that school onto my set. I brought people on their thing, which is it is the privileged shit that you try to do to get into the school. And I played all the games, and they sent a form letter. They didn't even call up and say, "Listen, we're really sorry. However, we judged your fucking 6-year-old. He's not getting in so that you could pay a fortune of money so he could become a pretentious asshole." But anyway, he didn't get in. So I did a couple episodes about this. And the scene with Jeremy, we had a dispute. And I don't really remember if it was on the set, because I don't remember if I was on set or we talked about it before or it was in the dailies after. But he cried in that scene, which he's excellent. The performance is amazing.
Yes.
There's no question. Jeremy's 3-time Emmy winner. This isn't a question of whether or not Piven's awesome. Piven's awesome.
Yeah, but
nobody
tone,
expected that though. I mean, when we read the script, we didn't expect it to get that emotional.
Yeah,
right?
For me, the tone of the scene, and everybody can judge it however they want. Again, let's be crystal clear. If Jeremy's winning, if you didn't know what the show was about or you just saw that scene, the guy's phenomenal. But my point was, at the end of the day, you're trying to get him into a private school, and as anyone could tell you, I'm a product of public schools. So are you, and so are you. And it is, it is something that you get sucked into in this town, which we don't know if it
kind
really
of going
is.
through it right now a little bit. Not quite that aggressive, but you're waiting to hear from schools. I'm like, what are they waiting to hear about? Whatever.
And you're waiting to just pay a fortune. But
right.
But I think it was in the dailies, and Jeremy was really adamant. And again, he could have a different telling of the story. I believe he asked me to please leave that in, even though I did not want to.
That's what it was. So Mylod probably did a bunch of versions where he did it straight, and then they did one where he cried, and then you guys had a disagreement in the editing room.
Yeah.
I can remember you feeling pretty
So wait,
strongly.
Mylod wanted the tears.
Jeremy was pushing for the tears.
Yeah.
Mylod said, well, I got to probably get
Yeah.
some on the straighter side. And then when they got into the editing room, Doug went without the tears. Piven wanted the tears, and I remember there being a little bit of back and forth because Doug felt like
I believe
the scene didn't need it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny, you said it today. The truth is the headmaster who is been investigated and is the perfect guy and all of that, it turns out he wasn't, and he was willing to make a trade.
So he wasn't moved by Piven's tears. He was moved by the fact that Piven could get his kid a job.
Yeah.
And the tears kind of take the comedy out of it a little bit.
Right.
But if I recall, Jeremy did win, and I don't know about a Golden Globe, but he probably won an Emmy for that.
You know, look.
This episode, right?
Again.
Well, you submit your episode. Who knows if that's the one that you submitted?
I'm pretty sure it is.
But I'm not even going to debate who was right or who was wrong. To me, again, I went with what Jeremy wanted, and it works. And the episode, like I said, is great. To me, the emotional scene was more with Lucas in that room, which, by the way, they said my friend Audra and Darren Hornig, who are my friends, he says, I want to go to school with Darren Hornig. Those are my high school friends. But I think that's where the emotion and the comedy, because Jeremy's face in that scene is both emotional and funny. In this scene, it goes to a heavy place. Again, he's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Like I said, it's not nobody's taking shots. It's not a question.
It's just a different tone, and it's a different tone. And for people listening out there, it's a very interesting thing to think. You know, first of all, that Jeremy's so good that he could take it there in that moment, but how different a scene could play depending on what an actor goes. And you and I had a big, I forget what our thing was when I was, I think I was at a funeral. Was that at my mother's funeral? I mean, I'm not even kidding.
Is this when you choked him out?
No, with Dan Addy.
I was going to say you and I had a thing. Oh, no, but that wasn't my fault.
I'm not blaming anybody.
That was Doug's fault, you say.
Well, no. But, listen, you know, at the end of the day, obviously Doug was always the guy that you would defer to. But if Doug happened to not be there, you know, and you got a director that's, you know, directed The Sopranos and directed a bunch of stuff, like, I don't know, you could be swayed to play a scene a certain way. But I made a couple mistakes in the Anna Faris scene where I ring the doorbell and she says, how'd you know where I lived? And I said, star maps. And Doug's like, calls me. He's like, it's supposed to be
improv.
No, it's scripted, but it was supposed to be like star maps. Like I was supposed to be being sarcastic.
I got you.
Like, how'd I find out where you live? Like I'm not a clown. Like I found out where you live, but I played it like I stopped on the side of the road. And Doug is like, "Are you? What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Why would you say this?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know, bro. Why would you say it like that?" But then later on in that episode,
there was a kiss thing.
No, later on in that episode, there was like a scene with Anna and I and Doug.
Anna.
Doug.
Why are you calling her Anna?
Because that's it. It's Anna.
Anna.
No, it's not Anna. It's Anna Faris.
Ooh.
Yes, because this was a thing. Yes.
Like O-N-A?
Yeah, it's spelled one way. It's pronounced another way. But
the way she wants.
I'm gonna be Doug.
Yo, dude,
from now on. Call me Doug.
Doug.
Doug. You be Doug.
I'm gonna be Kayvon.
Anna
Thibodeau.
Anna and I did the scene, and when I tell you that we were in, you know, left field, and Doug had us playing the scene in the parking lot of the stadium, we couldn't have been any further away. But I had to, unfortunately.
So wait, is this one of those situations where you showed up late? They already started filming.
No, Doug was out of town.
You weren't there at all.
I literally think I was at my mother.
He like looked at the
I was
cut.
at my mother's funeral.
Doug called me after he watched the cut and was like, "What is wrong with you? How could you?" I'm like,
how could you betray me like this?
But it was.
This is like when Jess Mancini sent me home. Terrible.
At the end of the day,
You know, the worst things used to be when Doug would show up after you've already shot half the. You're like, oh no,
Shot the other
we got
coverage.
3 hours. We're 3 hours into this giant scene, and Doug now just showed up. He wants to change everything.
Yeah.
Now, I need to say one thing. I didn't show up like I was fucking, at Din Tai Fung or playing pickleball.
No, you're right. You're writing scripts. Fair enough.
But, and also I want to say, for Jeremy and for you, it's not someone's wrong. Yeah.
I was doing as directed. I did not make any strong choices in this particular scene.
It's
I don't remember it. By the way, it's this season. It's coming up.
Oh, good. I'm glad we're going to talk about it. But what I'm saying is an actor has an interpretation. It's not wrong. And there are actors. Samuel Jackson, I saw him do an interview. I think he would kill me if I tried to tell him how he was supposed to do something. He basically said, I hate fucking directors. But the fact of the matter is, I know I've sat for months and think about what this is.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean someone can't make it better or different and go, wow, I didn't understand that. But at the end of the day, you at least want to see.
Dan Adius, if you're listening, I'm throwing you under the bus.
Well, by the way, we need
That was
Dan
your
Adius. We need Dan Adius on the podcast.
Dan
We have to get him on.
Dan Adius
Yeah,
had a
he's
very
great.
specific, this is the guy. He's coming up with Sopranos.
guys.
If he's telling me how to play the scene, but we're just so far off of what Doug
We called him the
talking
general.
about.
General
Adius.
Dan
He had just
Adius.
came off The Sopranos, and Connolly was supposed to say something to sweet to Anna, but suddenly he said, "How about I fucking whack you?" So I don't know. It was
The
weird.
fuck you looking at? Anna? Who the fuck spent? Wait, how about I call you Anna Banana? Anna all day.
Anna Banana.
By the way, I've reached out to Anna Faris, who has not. By the way, I hit her on the.
You hit her.
I DM'd her a personal page, no response, and I DM'd her on her podcast page, no response. And then the only thing I can
Some
think,
people don't check those things. I never look at mine.
her husband directed was the DP on Gotti. I thought we got along, but maybe that's where that
The
went
funny
south.
thing is, we have now had almost everybody who we've reached
Except
out to
Grenier and
come on the
Anna
show, except Adrian and Anna. But every time that we reach out to someone, and even if they take 4 minutes to respond, we're like, oh, what did we do?
Well,
Why are they mad at us?
Well, this was a year ago.
What did I do?
This wasn't 4 minutes ago. This was a year ago.
All right,
Doug,
so
here's-
Anna is everyone. Reach out to Anna. Tell
her
you want
we
her
need
on
her.
our
By the way, it's
podcast.
coming up. We
and
need
by
her.
the way, I'll call her Anna. I'll call her, and I'll call Miss Farris.
You don't remember? It was a whole thing. It was like, by the way,
I remember.
It had a Medellin vibe to it because it was like we're saying her name wrong. We keep saying her name wrong.
Maybe that's why she's not here.
No,
Maybe
but I
Dan
always said
Addis called her.
I said her
Anna.
name. I said her name right.
Dan
Doug,
Addis
I-
called her Annie.
Doug,
Hey, Annie, do me a favor.
I have a question, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way
Oh,
because
boy.
this is
Oh,
something that I had just
Brace yourself.
Yeah.
something that I had heard that you were not big on tone meetings. Is that true?
Oh yeah.
What's a tone
Yes, it's
meeting? I
true.
don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
So like, I guess if a director's done a million episodes, what's to talk about, right?
No, I don't agree with
So
that.
people are
I just-
listening. A tone meeting is when you sit and you basically talk through, like for example, that scene with Piven, the tone meeting. In a tone meeting, it might have
okay.
come up, right? Doug, fair to say?
Fair to say.
Tell me about the tone meeting and your lack of.
Well, the tone meeting is with an entire group of people, and I have to sit there, and then there's like 30 people.
Oh, is it everybody?
So is it the
Yeah,
tone
and-
of the whole
yeah.
episode? you
Yeah, it's like going through the scene where we could have said, which by the way, it's irrelevant anyway because Jeremy
He was going to do what he's going to do.
Yeah, and again, he did both. He gave us both ways, but he had a very strong reason why he wanted that, and fine, that's what's in the show.
He
and,
earned it.
And by the way, nobody's ever said, "What the fuck was that?" He's great. He's great.
He went big. He did a Jack Tripper pratfall when the kid in kindergarten kicked him in the shin. He
Yeah.
fell out of
Out of
He
frame.
actually fell out of frame. Did he have a stunt? Does he have a stunt mat? That's my question. Did he have stunts bringing a mat?
I just want to. I know we go off topic a little bit.
Tone
but
meeting, sorry.
Stunt. No. I like the tone meeting, but stunts. Did anyone fucking see Tom Cruise say?
I saw that video that
This
you guys
guy
talked
is
about
this- you know-
on the motorcycle with the
no,
my god.
No, not on a motorcycle. He's about to jump out of an airplane, but he's talking to everybody to watch his new movie, and then he just jumps out of the
He's
plane.
got
Holy
fucking.
shit.
He's got balls.
No,
man.
but I'm talking about that motorcycle
That I
off the
saw, too.
ramp into a canyon, throws a parachute. That guy's insane.
You know what?
man.
He knows thyself.
I'll tell you what.
Good
He
callback.
does know
I know
thyself.
thy stunt man, and I'm like, make me look good, bro. Because
But you know what?
I
When-
love
it
that
doesn't
about
need-
Dillon. Dillon is like, don't fuck around. Get the professional in there to do the
yeah,
fucking
because you know what? It wouldn't make the difference. It wouldn't make any difference. They'll still think it was him. Him
You know what?
doing it doesn't
What-
really
what I'll
help
say,
the scene.
Look, what I'll say about Tom Cruise, who is not someone I would want to spend time with because I think he's legitimately crazy.
He would just give me anxiety.
But
he's actually a really nice guy.
no,
I
but
met
my,
him. He's
but my
really, really
but my
cool.
point is he is a fucking movie star, and I don't
yeah.
know if you feel it because he does the stuff. He's so
He's an excellent
committed to
actor.
everything
He
he's
is a
doing
great actor.
that it's
He leaves it all out on
does.
the field.
I don't know.
Come
how,
on, man.
I don't know how insurance allows that to happen.
He buys insurance
yeah.
companies.
He probably says I'm just going to pay for everything. It's really everyone's got to watch that. So
I know we jump around. Go back to
tone meetings. So tone meetings. I'm not big on
Is
meetings.
it wardrobe?
I'm just not big on
Props.
meetings. And by the way, so we're clear, like on wardrobe, we have the best wardrobe people in the world, and their job is to come to me and make sure I think things is okay. But I trusted them
By
so
the way,
much.
I had the Evil Knievel shirt on.
Great
Speaking
shirt.
of, guys on a motorcycle jumping a canyon.
Speaking of guys with balls.
I love that shirt.
You went to you better go to that ball farm. What do you say? That
Ball farm, grow grooms.
Grow yourself with some. I don't know.
No,
What did
you
I
said
say
with
there?
with some of my winnings, I'm going to send you to a ball farm to grow some balls.
to grow a pair. So I'm not like I know what I know, and like with wardrobe, like Olivia would come to me, and I always said the same thing. Olivia, I trust you. The only time I've ever had a wardrobe comment, I think, was that green hat.
No,
Grenier
you
was
had the
wearing.
comment, and you yelled at me about that as well.
Why?
Do you remember when we were walking on the beach? It was Busey and the beach, and Doug was writing, and he gets the dailies of Grenier, who just went into the wardrobe and just put on a green hat, dude. And it's funny. Every time I see it now, whether or not you're in my head, you ruined it for me because
I
the
hate
green
that
hat
hat.
bothers me.
So weird.
But Doug, how could you let him walk onto that set and wear that hat?
He blamed you for
He
it?
blamed me for it. I'm like, what was? By the way, this is season 1, episode 5. What the fuck was I going to say? Whatever it was, episode 6.
I wasn't loving that hat either.
It's
terrible.
It's distracting.
You gonna go with that? You're really gonna wear that hat, huh? Okay.
And he wore it
understand
weird
it.
on his head. It sat kind of high.
Yeah.
It was
And he's got this amazing head of hair that I
And on
appreciated
the
all the way
beach,
back then.
And
like,
not only that, on the beach, let the
wanna
hair
see it
flow.
Yeah,
Let
the
it
wind will
flow.
blow it around.
Now is the time to show your hair. Okay, so tone meeting. So you basically say that you trust everybody. That's why they're there. You got the top people in the world, so you don't need to do that.
Yeah, and my actors I talk to about the scenes, even though I get it, sometimes it's not that I'm dismissive of the directors because we talk to them. I personally, and again, we have some amazing directors whose careers are fucking far
Yes,
exceeding
better
all
than
of
ours,
ours.
yeah.
But I know what I want, and I talk to my actors about it, and what I really wanted out of my directors. It doesn't mean they didn't do more, and it doesn't mean I didn't discuss things with them. I wanted them to make it. I wanted them to shoot it as great as possible. I didn't want them to worry about my tone. I just didn't, And
Right.
I wanted to discuss it with my actors, which is why. Thank God they would do it 2 ways, and we would get it. If you decided like you have an idea, go do it. But my actors know what I want.
There was and whatever, and it was Piven, and he was cool with it. But and the episode that I directed on a day, and one of the good things where I got lucky when I directed, the 2 episodes I did were the ones before the finales. So Doug was like
He was
jammed.
busy.
Doug was buried in the office writing the finale, and I can remember saying to Jeremy, like, dude, you gotta give me one.
Yeah.
You got to give me one by the numbers, and then you and Doug can talk about it in the editing room. But if I can't close this day out without at least getting one
That's
without whatever the fuck it is
not
you're
so
talking
big
about.
or maybe a little more.
like the improv line. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, we got to get one as scripted. And he said, Kevin and Dillon, you're from this school. Yeah, but he's going to use it. I said, well, that's not my fucking problem,
Yeah,
bro.
no, I am from that school.
It's not my problem. I have to show up in the editing room with one scripted. You
I just
can
think
do
he's
as
gonna-
many as
he's
you
gonna
want.
go off on you,
It's going to
so,
be my fault. It's my job to do.
I think you guys know, even though Dillon would say that, if I do it, you're going to use. You guys know I'm gonna
you
pick
use the best
thing.
one,
I'm
yeah.
going to find the best. And if there's like a question, if you guys had something that you're so specific with, like falling out of frame, and you want it so badly, like we'll discuss it.
I would
You know
always
what
call the night before. If you call the night
Dillon,
before,
yeah, you were smart.
if I could get in your head about it the night before, then you're like, you accept it more.
Yeah.
You're
well,
more likely to accept
Dillon,
it.
you would
You wear me down.
you would try to sell it the night before you even did it. I
Yes,
was
'cause
always
I've already planned it out. And
Right. I was always from the school of fuck it, we have it. Let's just do another take.
You know, I got to say, when you were directing, Kev, you would always be like, hey, do just for shits and giggles, try this. And he would have me try something ridiculous, and it would
it's
be
like,
great.
yo, it may not get in, it may
and it
not,
might
but
make
we
it or
got
might
a
not,
bunch,
yeah.
Do you remember what it was, Kev?
The knee
Splash,
slap.
the knee
Oh,
slap, but also, come on, splash a little water on your
splash a
cock.
little water
I go,
on
I'm not gonna have sex with 2 girls in the same
the
day.
same
I
day
haven't even
without
taken a
showering.
shower yet. He's like, who cares? Splash a little water on. But he does this
I
thing
did
with
the
his hand. He goes,
splash
splash
move
a
on
little
my
water.
balls.
Lifts up his legs, like splash a little water on your cock. We were fucking dying. laughing. By the way, I don't even think I directed that episode. I think that was just me pitching.
But you know what?
you would,
It was
throw
a
that
great
out there.
moment. But you know what it is for any like filmmakers out there. Why it's so important to get your lines down, and it is so you could fuck around after.
Correct.
And
Yes.
one of the tragedies sometimes when the lines were not down is we were just forced to go with the best we had. And I'm like, you know, like when you had, and I'm not.
Doug's like, I am just trying to get one that makes sense grammatically.
He's got a good point, though.
That's a fair point.
Not everyone writes as good as you, though, Doug. So sometimes,
that's
sometimes you're forced to have. I have to do something with the
Right.
script.
No,
you
but
know?
what Doug is saying is that sometimes people, whatever, we're not saying names, or some people would improv things that didn't make
Yes, it
sense
didn't
in
make
the
sense for the
English language.
storyline. Oh.
No, it didn't make
Yes.
sense in a sentence.
Yes. Yeah.
Doug was like, grammatically,
But
it's
you know,
incorrect.
it's like there
ridiculous.
were. I mean, there were some actors who came on, and nothing about our main guys, but there were some actors, you know, specifically who would come on this show.
man.
Carla Cugina, Gary Cole, Jeffrey
Constance Zimmer.
Constance Zimmer,
Right.
and it was like it was so off book that you're done with the scene so fast that you now go, let's fuck around and let's see what we come up with. But there were lots of days that we know where we're like, oh my God, I used to go home and go, I don't know if we have one fucking take.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then, or that there's not like a crazy pause where you can see that someone, no names, doesn't know their fucking line. And
Or it's pretty bold when a guest star would come in, and I would always very nicely try to tell them like, hey man, we're not big improv guys over here.
Yeah.
Right?
We
When
would
you have a
say-
guest star.
Yeah, lock in your dialogue.
Like-
Once we get one,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you can
dude.
give
If
that
you
a
want to
try.
play around, but I wouldn't come out of the gate firing with that in rehearsal.
man.
Just a little food for thought from a guy who's been here from the beginning.
Doug's put a lot of thought into the dialogue.
Thought.
You got to do it.
Especially
do one
as
his
a
way.
guest star. You don't come in and improv as
no,
a guest star. I mean,
But
unless you're Larry
if you
David.
get it, do whatever after.
I'll always come in with some ideas because the writing's not usually as good as this. This is great writing.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
you're also the star of the show. You're an Emmy nominated star of the show.
Well,
If you want to play around a little bit, you play around.
I probably said this on the podcast before, but because Jack Arnold, our chef extraordinaire, who you were there for one of his meals, right? I know Connolly was, where he rated him a 9 and then
Oh
salted
yeah,
the
I
poor
was there
guy.
with the steak guy.
rating.
Steak guy, yeah, who's awesome. But he posted him doing one of the Matt Damon monologues and stuff.
I
And
saw that, yeah.
and I just want to say, I may never make anything of my life again. That's fine. This may be it. This may be the top of the heap. But Matt Damon sat at the Beverly Hills Hotel with me, and he's like, "You write speeches for Piven that are so crazy." And guys, I may have said this before. My hand to God, he did a 2-page Piven monologue, like he was Goodwill fucking Hunting.
Wow.
And it was like, and it wasn't even it wasn't the episode he was in. It wasn't a script he had, and
Right.
he had it.
memorized.
I don't
What did-
like. I think. I mean, the guy.
He just prepped it.
He
and
went
knew
to
it. He was an
Harvard. I don't
actor.
think he prepped it. I think he's like got some crazy recall, and
He's smart.
It's why, because also people were talking about that last scene that was. I deliberately put it on. I wanted to. I believe I wanted to dedicate the episode to my mother, and then it came on. Matt Damon came on after, which a lot of people never saw. I just sat there with Matt Damon and fed him lines. Said, "Cry now, laugh now, do this now." And he like morphed into this human. But my point was, and this is not for either of the parties that are sitting here, when you have an actor who's off book, you can then really work on a scene and you can really then make it better. But if you're just trying to get a scene in the can that you can air somewhere,
I
then-
call it owning it. You got it. Once you own the dialogue, you own the lines. Then you can play around all you want.
And you guys know I was never precious with lines. I just like we got to have one that we know.
Well, you guys, sometimes you're a little precious.
All right, this is a good one. I think we wrapped up.
Precious.
I think we wrapped.
Is that it? We're done?
No, I think we covered
Hey,
Dave.
what do we got next? I don't
We
even
haven't
know
even
what.
talked about Dillon in the costume. Like
Let's talk.
nothing.
Yeah,
yeah, that's
let's talk.
true.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's-
like,
yeah.
like I think Jerry. First of all, is just he's really awesome in this, and he's still like I mean, it's hard. Like I still look at Jerry in these early years. He's such a kid,
Yeah.
So like watching him, he's so innocent and he's so this. But you're doing that scene. Do you remember if Shayna Moakler was in the costume?
That's
Or
what I was
is-
going to say.
She was.
Oh, she
Yeah.
was in the costume.
I mean, it's so absurdly funny and yet still kind of grounded. Like the episode really, it flies, and there's 3 stories going.
But the
at
whole
same
time you're going, why Turtle? Why wouldn't you just put that costume on and go have a great time, man? So I mean,
Well, why wouldn't he?
why wouldn't you?
Yeah, why did he back out at the end, Doug?
Well, he just felt, it's so goofy.
yeah, but
I
she
mean,
was very
Although
pretty.
actually, I kind of agree. I don't know if I don't know. Like I'm old now, but I don't know. Like in 30, like if I wanted to like put on that outfit.
I don't know, but that was fun, man.
Right, it might have been way more weird when
Even-
you were in your 20s.
Even Even
Now
acting,
you go like, all right, whatever. You got to do what you got to do.
even acting it was fun, man. I had her by the tail. She was a squirrel. I was holding the tail, spanking her ass. It was great.
We should have got Shada Mokler on.
I really want to try this furry thing.
Like you haven't, Dillon. I mean,
Come on, you're a plushie. You know you are.
Do you remember though when you got the script? You're like, "What is this?" Or did you know about this?
I
thing?
didn't know what the fuck it was, man. I was like, "What the hell is a furry? A plushie?" You keep saying furries and plushies.
Because you're like the expert in the episode
I
about
think I
it.
called you, Doug, and I was like, "What is it? Like they wear costumes?"
I really had to look it all up, and I don't even remember if Google's around yet. But I mean, I really had to research it because I didn't even understand it. And Weiss, I believe, again, I don't want to.
Well, Allie was, I'm not saying Allie's a plushie, but Allie was like, yeah, what are you talking about? This is a thing.
Allie, we'll post the picture of me with this bunny behind me. Allie was like, that's a weird fetish. And I was like, I didn't believe her. And it's amazing that 2 years later, I remember coming in the writer, guys, we got to break an episode that has this thing. And it really came together. And, you know,
Every Easter, Jerry Ferrara puts himself on Instagram and with the bunny hat on.
Costume.
And I usually throw a little video of myself in the bunny costume having sex with a squirrel.
I think
which is
you
always
should
good.
this year. You should reenact it. Actually, get a squirrel and dress up and
a
do
real
it.
squirrel. You're sick, dude.
Yeah,
What kind of
dude. Bestiality.
bestiality are you into?
No bestiality and ramble on.
Excellent episode. Happy New Year, everybody.
All right, wait, we're not done yet.
Oh.
Dave, Stock Tip Dave in the booth is crazy. He's been pushing me on this. Full episodes are on YouTube. So subscribe.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, the episodes are on YouTube.
Okay, YouTube Plus probably.
No, regular YouTube. You want to watch
For free?
For free, yeah. You,
By the way, I need everyone
How
to
am
know.
I going to get paid for this?
I really need to know, Dillon. If an advertising agency came in and wanted to do the commercial, Dillon would be genius right now, pretending he doesn't know, but he really doesn't know.
No, I mean, how would I know?
I don't know.
The funny thing is I watch YouTube constantly. I mean, it's
not
all I
us.
watch.
Go
Not
to the
us.
Action Park Media YouTube page, subscribe, and you can watch all of the full videos.
Well,
But
that's great, but how are actors getting paid for this? This is
Actors
like
don't
what-
get-
I feel like
actors-
we're getting screwed.
Wait, Dillon, have you not been around the strikes over streamers for the last 15
We-
years?
But is
Yeah,
YouTube,
we've got
does
a strike.
YouTube
I
fall?
mean,
Does
SAG
YouTube
has gotta
fall?
go on
Does
strike.
YouTube fall into that though? I mean, YouTube
yeah.
is like kind of, dude. It's
Yes,
a dicey market.
it's a wild west, and people, the money things have gone like this for everybody, for creators, for actors, and they'll have
It's
to
an outrage.
They'll have to solve it some way. But it's funny how you know about it. Also, I don't know what else you're selling, but
Well, no, this I want to because the submissions are coming in and there's a few good ones, so we
Yeah.
just keep them coming. February
Wait, tell
6th.
I know we
everybody
can
what
have
it
a
is.
screening, like so we can all watch it.
Totally. So the Queens Boulevard Film Festival, presented by, yes, you heard it, our new sponsor, JSX. February 6th is the new deadline. 60 to 90 seconds. We're all going to vote. Jerry's going to vote, and the CEO of JSX, Alex Wilcox, will join us for a vote. So we're going to
Nice.
narrow it down to 5. And then we're gonna pick a winner who will get a couple flights out here to look at Kevin Dillon, watch Kevin Dillon
that's
record a
phenomenal.
podcast.
I want a couple
Yeah,
of those flights.
man.
By the way, JSX is awesome. I've flown them a bunch of times to Napa, to Vegas. Last thing, especially with Dillon, keep those reviews coming. You can put a little like, this is what we'd like to hear on there. That's fine. But just give us the 5 stars. Get it out there. Tell Kevin Dillon how great he is, because otherwise he's not going to keep coming back, especially after today's trip. How long did it take you to get here? An hour and 40 today?
Yeah, man, it was bad.
Yeah.
bad mud. I mean, mudslides. I'm surprised nobody died out there.
I
don't-
could have called
mean-
some of my connections over at JSX and we could have flown you in.
I bet some houses completely slid off the mountain. I mean, I don't
There's
know.
gonna be
it
some-
looked like a hurricane.
There's going to be some bad things, and I just saw Mulholland's going to be shut down from Coldwater to Laurel for like 6 months.
That's nuts.
So where I live is like in a pocket that's going to be a hellacious thing. But I'm going
wonder
to the
about
desert.
Avery.
Yeah,
Dave,
it looked like your neck of the woods, Doug.
It is my neck of the woods.
Dave, have you heard anything from Avery who lives in Laurel Canyon? Is he trapped up there? I mean, Jesus, that's tough to have Beverly, Laurel, and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's either the 405 or the 101.
Tell him to take the motorcycle.
Tell him to take the motorcycle. All right, so that will wrap it up. And again, I know I keep saying this, but I'm just very excited because it's my first time. I want to thank everybody over at JSX for backing us on the Queens Boulevard Film Festival. Keep the submissions coming and be clever. We're doing one ourselves. We're not competing, but I did one in Medellin.
Really?
I did my Queens
I'm not doing
Boulevard
one.
Film
So
Festival.
I got to do one?
No, if you want, but you can maybe jump into Stock Tip Dave's if you want. But all right, that's Victory the Podcast. Again, thanks JSX for sponsoring the film festival, and we will be back soon.
Victory.
Victory!
Action Park
Media.